here's my final thought, and I want your thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
How about all those people that have filed claims over their time? I have no medical evidence in service. I didn't really know how to develop or provide lay evidence. I didn't document it in service. I filed a claim. I was denied. They told me to kick rocks. I did. Should I be dusting off my claim and work on some lay evidence?
Yeah, so I see a major player here. How do I say this without sounding like a douchebag? Okay. You know how when veterans are skeptic of speaking with an attorney, not necessarily because of the back pay aspect of that, but a lot of attorneys kick it to the board, or there's a stigma where they kick it to the board because that increases time, which increases back pay, which increases, business funds. That's the idea. That's probably the number one skepticism of using a VA accredited attorney. And so we have the attorney side of the house, and then we have the veteran side of the house. Do I think that if a veteran fully believes that they had a true at least as likely, meaning 50-50, and the at least as likely is a nexus statement, right? I'm just saying that for a 50-50. If the veteran has enough evidence for the benefit of the doubt, should they relook at it? I think that answer is always yes. Okay. I think the answer is 100% yes every single time. But then it's like, all right, you're going to go to the Board of Veteran Appeals. That's really when I start considering a lawyer, personally. But now you have lawyers. So that's one. And I agree with that. Do I also think this decision could influence the business model of accredited attorneys and just kick it straight to the board even more so, because now the benefit of the doubt will be enforced. And so it is, you could argue it is more than likely, or I'm sorry, you can argue that it is likely for that attorney to win the case if the veteran has evidence. Just enough evidence, right? They kick it to the board because it's going to do a HLR, denied times 2, right? You do a supplemental claim, and that evidence is not really, it's kind of very close, denied. That's going to happen, so you're going to be forced to kick it to the board, which is going to be good for business on the attorney side of the house. I think the board's going to be a little busier. I think veterans are going to start looking at their claims, and I don't know if it will be a burden on 7-year wait times or 9-year wait times for the Board of Veteran Appeals, which is totally a thing. So I don't know if it's good or if it's bad, right? I'm kind of in this
good point.
I see attorneys taking advantage of it and just jumping ship to Board of Veteran Appeals because it's easier.
Right.
The law is in their favor. The RO does not operate on the same standards as the Board of Veteran Appeals. Okay, there's a clear line between those. That's my initial thoughts for that. I don't think it's a bad thing at first. However, I think it could easily be taken advantage of from a business perspective. But then again, assuming veterans are being service connected, that's also good. So I'm right.
Yeah. Well, and look, if the board gets up to a 7-9 year wait time because they've screwed it up so many times, well, hopefully they would bump up the board numbers and get that approval if we're loud, right? If the veteran community actually raises our voices and says something, that's the whole, loud mouths get fed. So, I think that this is an opportunity for people that felt as though they were very close and they got denied kind of frivolously. I can't say the word. It might be an opportunity for them to get another claim in. And look, just to speak in the way we speak, Clay, it's about getting the right rating for you. And if the right rating for you is that 30% for migraines that you should have had, but you don't, your evidence was very close. You didn't quite, it wasn't solid. Well, you might want to dust it off and see if you can, work on a little more lay evidence. And we've talked about it before, Clay. I do believe that lay evidence is definitely more favorable in the world of, the judges than the BSRs. I think that they actually do give it more weight in the Board of Veterans Appeals or at the U.S. Supreme Court of Veterans Appeals. And again, for those watching, the Supreme Court that's viewing the benefit of the doubt rule is really trying to figure out what the responsibilities are for the U.S. Court of Veterans Appeals. That's what they're looking at. They're not looking at what should BVA do, what should the VA do, what should you do, what should your C&P examiner do. No, they're really focused in at the U.S. Court of Veterans Appeals. Now, again, I'm going to say it. I think that there will be, even if not directed to do anything at any other of the lower levels, I think by default, knowing what the end result is, I think that we will see some internal changes happening subconsciously, even, just kind of going, I gotta look at this a little more objectively. That's another reason why you should make sure that you spend the time up front to really develop your claim and get all of your evidence in a row, and don't shortchange yourself or your evidence. How can you do that? Everybody gets antsy, Clay. Once they decide to file a claim, I mean, they would have filed it yesterday if they could. And so they get so amped up on getting ready to file that claim that I don't know why, but it's car dealerships would love these people, right?
Yeah.
Come on in, we got you taken care of. Don't even worry about it. What do you want your payment to be? Let's do this. So, file an intent to file and give yourself ample time to develop. I think it's a good transition, Clay, to talk about what people can do to avoid even being in a situation where this stuff would even take effect or be impactful, right? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I'll say one thing. There are many nonprofits. I've met and interviewed one of them who are lawyers who specifically pro bono for free represent veterans at the U.S. Court, not the board. Okay,
Wow.
The higher court. And so, I forgot the name of it. If you want it, comment below. I'll make sure I'll dig that video up, get that link, and shoot it to you as a response. But yes, this is my favorite subject. Every time I do a video, if I can talk about evidence, I do. This is the most important thing veterans need to know. If you don't want to go to the U.S. Supreme Court, right? I bet Buffkin and the other veteran really don't want to be in the situation that they're in right now.